Now, starting that job though wasn't as easy as I thought, because here I was about 21 years old.
Okay.
And I was young, I was ambitious, but I didn't have any experience working with high net worth individuals who were sophisticated, who were well educated, who had a background in businesses that they've had established for years. So most of BMW's clientele and these luxury company brands, they were, doctors, lawyers, business owners, entrepreneurs, and buying a car is an experience that not many people enjoy. So here are these business savvy individuals who had all these expertise and knowledge, and they would come sit with a 21-year-old who just got the sales position and is trying to provide a good hospitality.
But hospitality is the name of the game in any type of sales. At the end of the day, you make people feel good, and you actually give them what they need and help them understand what it is that they need. That's the key to sales in general. It's not about convincing someone. It's about persuading them to recognize the value in something you're providing.
Absolutely. I love how you articulated that. It's about connecting with people, finding out what people want, and giving them an exceptional experience of something that they can feel good about. Like, my general manager once told me, like, just make people feel good, and they're going to be more likely to we're going to be able to win them over. So I struggled in the beginning, because I was being overly nice to people, and I was just like letting them have their way. I'm like, hey, why don't we go do this test drive? Why don't you come check out the features, the bells and whistles? But everybody always wanted to sit down and go straight to the numbers, see what the best deal, shop around. And then I noticed that if I can just be more friendly with them and snap them out of that state that they came into, just focusing on the numbers, and I shifted their focus to the experience that I can provide to them and the long-term relationship that we can build, then I knew that I would excel.
That's an amazing shift, though, because obviously they're coming in for the commodity, which is the car, and commodities are always driven by price.
Yeah.
But you were transitioning them from going from just being a commodity to being an experience, the Chris Diaz experience.
Right.
That seemed like that's an amazing transition. And at such a young age, you recognized that as the value that you brought to the table. What in your mind made that happen?
See, when things don't work out in life, we got to change our approach. I realized that I wasn't getting the outcome that I wanted with the people that I was meeting. So I knew I had to change something, and what I had to change was like my focus on putting it onto the experience that I could provide for them. Because if I can make them feel at home when they sat down in my office, if I can give them an experience that they enjoyed coming to the dealership, that I can give them exceptional customer service, that I would fight with my managers to give them the best price possible so they can refer their friends and their family and then come back the next 3 years to renew their lease and I would still be here for them, then what would that really cost them? You can't put a price on service, especially when I'm acting out of best interest to serve that person. And that's how I was able to actually get my first sale, by really persuading the lady that bought the first BMW 320i not to go to the other dealership and spend 45 minutes of her time going back and forth trying to get a better deal, when if she just sat one time with me and invested her time into building the relationship, that I would meet her needs, I would give her the best deal possible, and she can refer her friends and family to me. So once I made that shift, I started growing my sales. I started selling more cars. I started getting referrals everywhere I was going. I was networking, giving out my business card, and things started thriving and exciting from there. It took me a couple months to hit a big financial target, which was like my first 10K month at the dealership. I'd never received a paycheck like that in my life. So I was really grateful, and I let it get to my head, and I was just like, man, if I continue doing this, like I'm gonna be able to quit this job and do whatever I want. So I stayed there until I was there for about 9 months. I got my dream car. I have an Instagram post, my first Instagram post ever in 2012. It says, one day I will own an M3. That was my dream car. Okay. And working my first actual corporate job, I was able to get my first M3 that I at least out of there. So I was like, ching, got that off the bucket list. I'm like, that felt so good having that car. And then I ended up quitting there in March. And I ended up transitioning into the next phase, which was building a stable career, because nobody likes to have, or at least I didn't like to have a, unstable salary, because everything was commission based.
Yeah, commission based. I mean, because again, it's almost like you eat what you kill type of situation in a car dealership. I know a lot of people in that industry. So, in an environment where you're essentially working hard day in and day out, not necessarily getting everyone who's coming into the door, because you have other salespeople, other sales professionals on the floor. So the reality is you did not have that consistency of income, that stability of income, that comfort zone. So you wanted it somewhere else. So you transitioned it into a totally different type of career.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So the instability of having that consistency and predictability of financial security was something that I was just like, man, I got to grind, hustle, spend 60, 70 hours a week, work here on Sundays just to make this paycheck. I said, no, this is not what life is about. I said, I'm going to look for something much more secure, something more predictable. And what did I do? Reached into my book of contacts, the relationships that I had built out. And I remember calling this director of JP Morgan Chase, who was a banker. I sold him a 5 Series. And I called him. I said, hey, man, by any chance you think you can get me an opportunity to work at JP Morgan Chase? I want to build a career. I'm hungry. I'm motivated. Like, I'm committed. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And he was like, man, you sure you want to leave such a great paying job and position to, like, start a career at the bank? He's like, it seems like you're doing really well. And I said, yeah, man, I'm tired of like these sharks out here trying to sell cars. I'm just like, I want to work with people, build a career, and thrive from there. And he said, yeah, absolutely. Within a second, like I had a call from like a branch manager already calling for the interview. I showed up there, and coming from a sales and negotiation background and, having a 6-figure job, I was just had high expectations for working for a Fortune 500 company, corporate company where, they do things in a professional manner. And
that definitely wasn't the case. It's a banking environment. Coming in from the ground floor is not the same.
I had the wrong perception of it, and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna sell my way in there, because I said, if I'm valuable, people are gonna be able to pay me what I'm worth. So I went in there, crushed the interview. I mean, there was 3 managers. 2 of them came from other branches just so they were able to meet me, because they were like, we have such high expectations for this guy. You guys need to come see him. We're going to be promoting him, etc. I was like, oh man, this is all rap. I told them about my experience, my sales background, everything. They fell in love. And I said, okay, so now let's talk about the salary. Now I'm on the other side talking about the numbers, because that's what was important to me. And they said, oh yeah, don't worry. Everything is negotiable. They're like, hey, $33,000.
Wait, $33,000 salary.
Salary for the year.
For the whole year?
For the whole entire year.
Wait. And you just left something that's paying well into the 6 figures.
I was making like $10K a month over there.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, $33,000 for the year, plus incentives, plus bonus. I'm like, what does that look like? Oh, like $500. I was like, what? I'm like, people live off this? People can, meet their financial needs and feed their families and, pay their bills with this? And I said, no, this can't be. I'm like, I'm going to negotiate myself, and they're just trying to lowball me, right? And I'm going to come back with a higher offer, and we'll meet in the middle. So they're like, hey, we're going to put you on the line with a corporate person if you want to negotiate their salary. Man, I was looking forward to this call, because I knew I was going to get my way out of what I wanted. I get on the phone call with this person. Oh, this call is being recorded for quality assurance. You're on a recorded line. This is her number, this and that. She's like, hey, we've taken a review at your application. Most personal bankers, they can't go past, 34,000. That's the maximum. You're already at like the 1% in the nation. I said, are you kidding me? Like, I was like, it's got to be some kind of joke. I'm like, listen, if you guys don't pay me $50K minimum, to start, I'm not staying here. And then she was like, you're at the 1%. This is a corporate, career.
It is what it is.
There's nothing you can do. Yeah. I said, there's always something you can do. I was like, when I had to do something, I'll go to my manager and I'll fight. I'll be like, we're giving this customer the best deal possible. But here, she's like, listen, if you don't want the job, it's on you. Yep. I was like, man, this is what it came down to. I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Okay.